we're getting back into the form of the Supra build. Fresh off, well actually not fresh off this year, it's been like 2 months since we first shot that video at the mountain road. We got some parts in from Judd, got a couple spare sensors, and then we had a rear main seal that was leaking, so I got a new seal and a rear cover for it, and then I had to get this tool made so that we can perfectly put the rear main seal onto the crankshaft. So it's just gonna slide right through this. It's tapered properly, so then it can just slide straight on with no issues. The only thing that sucks, we gotta take half the car apart. So the trans has to come out, motor has to get loosened up, motor has to slide forward, and there's a lot of work to be done, so we're just gonna get right to it. All right, so Biddy's has the exhaust off, drive shaft off, and right now he's looking at pulling the trans out. We got the motor shimmed up, so there should be enough clearance. Now we'll take the bell housing, clutch off, get that rear main seal in there, and keep her moving, baby. Update, trans out, clutch off. Thankfully no oil saturation on the clutch. And just trying to figure out how to get the steel off since it's in this whole housing here. It's a little bitty flywheel. Quad disc carbon tilt and clutch. It's in good shape. Get all this stuff cleaned up before we put it back on. And this is the new rear main seal, so it has an O-ring on the outside. And they made this whole housing, and then an inner seal. There it is. Whoa, look at there's some gears in there. Look at the gears.
Yeah, I think we're okay, Gordon. So Ryan, I was like super worried I'd put this pick in and be like...
And be in the threads?
Yeah, that's why I was taking my time.
Yeah, understood. I'm glad you took your time. So you can see the crank gear, 2 reduction gears. They go up to the camshafts since everything's run off gears. Pretty cool.
So all the
definitely bummer we had to replace this, but definitely cool to see another piece of it. All right.
This is awkward.
It's going in. We got the seal.
You need to clean
we
that.
got the tool. I gotta keep that clean. Way out of frame.
There you go. This is awkward. This is how we were. This is it?
That's it, dude.
Are we lined up?
You tell me, you gotta get it further on there, I think.
It's got a little bit of a spring load.
Yeah, that's natural.
It's gonna need some sort of love.
Yeah, to get that seal.
To go past the O-ring.
Update me, how nervous on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would give it a 7.
That's pretty nervous.
And
it worked out.
The reason I'm nervous is the parts are not easily accessible.
No, they are not.
The process is not that bad, but you know, getting parts from England when we're only here for 2 days is not happening.
Nope. I'll take the tool.
We'll blame it on the intern.
The custom tool. Gordon, dude! Trans in, baby.
Yeah.
All right, guys, been little updates because I've been helping biddies here too. So, exhaust is on, drive shaft is in, trans in, clutch on, all the stuff's in, front motor mount on, and we are styling. Just need to get the exhaust tips back on, and the Hollinger shifter.
Yep, and the O2 sensors.
The O2 sensors, and we are dialed in, baby. The rear main seal was leaking, that's why we replaced it, of course. And because there is a mid plate on the back of the engine and the rear main seal was leaking into it, we couldn't get all the residual oil from, you know, between the back of the engine case and the mid plate. So it had all leaked down and into the seam, and then when we started it, we didn't check it until after we had fired it, so it gave us a little cause for concern.
Oh no.
What?
There's a lot of oil down here.
And now there's nothing there. We cleaned it all up and then refired it, and there's no leak, so we're good. Yeah.
Dope.
Now we gotta drain the engine oil. Wrap it up for tonight.
Is that a wrap?
Continue tomorrow. That's a wrap tonight, though. All right, guys, the next big change is happening. We are swapping out the drift setup, which has the Wisefab components, which worked phenomenal for drifting. Very, very predictable, a lot of self-steer, which I love. And the Supra felt amazing for driving it. Really for the first time in a very challenging and high pressure environment up that mountain road. And the thing was freaking awesome. So I can't say enough good things about the front end and the rear end of the Wisefab stuff. We haven't done bump steer correction in the rear yet, so we can still dial that in. Obviously we just haven't gotten to that yet. There's just still so much to do. So the only thing we can't run, or we can't utilize the Wisefab front steering kit because the lower control arm and the knuckle are pushed so far outside, we can't stick a big wheel under there and make it fit under the fender. Also, the wheel would also run into the coilover. So there's just not enough fitment under there to run anything larger than a 9-inch wheel, or a 9.5, sorry. So we need to be able to run a tire in a 305 to 315 range on the front. So what we're doing is we're swapping out to basically the time attack setup or the more grip setup. So talked to my friends at SPL and they hooked it up with the entire front setups. So we have the new OEM Toyota knuckle, hub, caster arm that has this eccentric solid insert to replace the kind of new loose rubber bushing. Outer tie rod end, lower control arm, and this is what we're not sure is gonna fit for our setup, just because we do have a custom sway bar. So this is the sway bar link, so it'll mount to the arm down here and then go up to the coilover. We're hoping that it works with our setup. We'll see. That's the biggest question mark at the moment. And then obviously bump steer correction, and this will allow us to run a probably 10.5 wide wheel, maybe even more, because this sits so much further inboard. So we'll get some new wheels from Rotiform for this setup as well, and be able to stick a big front tire under there, which would be sweet. So time attack setup going down right now. We're gonna have to get some more parts made from Ferrari Steve down in San Diego at OMD. And he's been a massive part of helping make parts for this car throughout the entire process. So big thanks to Steve. And we'll get this stuff dropped off tomorrow. But tonight we're just gonna get as much of this stuff on the car as possible, see what does need to get custom made to our specific setup with the SPL stuff. So anyway, big thanks to SPL and Sean over there and the guys. They make some of the best stuff out there. So pumped to be running their parts again.
Yeah. And then you got like
yeah,
bump steer adjustment.
Yep. Boom, boom. We're close though. We don't have too much that we have to modify. So I guess that's good. All right, boys, we are here at OMD, and this is their new shop. They just moved from San Diego to Carlsbad, and they've just been jamming and getting a ton of new stuff in here. Dude, the shop is full already. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's that way.
It looks sick though.
How you doing?
Good, Happy New Year.
What do you got for me?
All kinds of shit.
All kinds of?
All kinds of shit, dude.
What is it? What is it? We'll take it in my office and we'll look at it.
Okay. All right, so Steve already got busy, but this is what we're gonna do. It's gonna make us a new rotor hat, a new caliper mount for the new upright, the new Toyota upright. And then we're gonna have to modify this pickup. This SPL pickup is too long for where our sway bar is located, so this has to get cut down in half. Still gonna use the same Heims. We're all good with the outer tie rod, and then the adapter spacer to mount our center lug, which is also gonna be on the rotor hat. So those are all the parts we're gonna have, that Steve's gonna make for us on his new machine. He just picked up this brand new, well, sorry, not brand new, new to him, Fadal. And this mill is a lot bigger. There's a lot more room top to bottom than this other one. And this is what he made the majority of our parts on previously for the Supra. So that's a wrap here down at OMD. head back up to race service, put the car away, I guess. That's it, baby. What's up, guys? We are back. I know it hasn't been a long time for you, but it has been for me. Since the last time we worked on the Supra, we blew all the parts off it, changing the front end, figured out what parts had to get made. All those parts are now finished, picked up, and ready to be assembled and put back on the Supra to swap this thing over to be a full road race time attack setup. So let's get into it. So I already took the front end off. The WiseFab stuff is gonna chill on ice until we take it drifting for a project at some point. But I wanna show you guys all the new parts that OMD down in San Diego made for us. He cut us brand new bells for the rotors with the correct spacing that we need, so we don't have to run any spacers. So I'm pumped about that. And then obviously for the new OE Toyota Supra Knuckles, a new brake caliper mount, new sway bar rods, sway bar arms. These came out really sick. I'm super stoked on these. We still have to put a little bit of a bend in here in the press, so we're actually gonna let OMD do that because he's got some nice tooling that he made so it doesn't mess up the anodize or like distort the metal super gnarly. So we're gonna let them do that. Everything else is pretty much here and ready to rock. So we're gonna start assembling, and then we'll get our new offsets for bigger front wheels, bleed the brakes, and we're actually gonna fire this thing up today, which I'm pumped because I haven't heard it since we turned it off doing the height video shoot. So that should be cool. You guys get we'll get a little drive through the drivetrain, make sure there's no leaks, and then we'll just finish the rest of the assembly. So one of the bells is already done, and now I just gotta take off this rotor, take all these bolts off, and then torque them back up onto this, and we are ready to rock. Let's do it. Yeah. All right, we got Brian in town.
You know my name.
From Hartsock Motorsports.
You got the lug nuts. Yeah, those look pretty good.
Yeah, they do. So we already did one, pressing out the stock bushing to put in the SPL eccentric caster adjustment bushings. So these are pretty sweet. These spin, of course, just to get the eccentric. And then these are the OEM Supra caster arms.
That took a lot.
Yeah, it did.
This press is no joke.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yep. All right, Biddies is finishing the caster arm on the new front end with all the SPL parts and the OMD parts. Everything's looking awesome, fitting awesome. I'm just trying to rush to eat my lunch, and then I have to run out and do an errand before traffic sets in, so.
There's traffic all the time in LA. What is he talking?
Varying degrees of worseness. Is that a word?
I think so.
All right, guys, a lot has been going down. The whole front end is on. All the fresh parts from OMD, fitted, SPL arms, bushings, everything. So one of the things that we did have to do after we changed the rear main seal previously is fire this thing up, and we haven't done it yet. So we're gonna treat ourselves to a little V10 noise tonight. Biddies is gonna start sorting our wheel specs. So what we're actually gonna do is just run the rears on the front, since these are pretty much perfect. So 1811 plus 22, that's what we ran on the rear with an adapter spacer that we needed. And these are actually absolutely freaking perfect for the front as far as fitment's concerned. So plenty wide for the 305 and or 295 that we're gonna end up running on here. And then the rear, these are our old fronts. And with the WiseFab, like I said, just because it's a max steering angle kit. Everything is pushed so far out, we could only run it up to a 265 Nitto NT01. So that obviously wasn't gonna cut it. And now Brian is doing the math or the measurements for the new rears, which are gonna be 1812 plus 7, I believe. And then a little bit of an adapter spacer to go with it. And then Steve might make us another new rotor bell or rotor hat that has the spacer built into it, so it's all one piece. We'll see what he wants to do. Hopefully he's down, because he's done a lot of work for me on this car, which has been amazing to have such a great asset and resource. Super smart dude, very quick with designing and making parts, and a bunch of awesome dudes down there. So pumped to be working with Steve and everything that he's done for this project throughout the course of the build, and continuing to do so as I continue to need parts for this thing.